Alrighty then. Hello everybody. Alright, now the second video I'm going to do is going to be on Mr. Richard Skildum. Now, Mr. Skildum took out a harassment restraining order against me, and it was filled with perjury and subornation of perjury by Mr. Knorrenstild. But it was filled with perjury, and so what he did was he withdrew it days before his trial, and he resigned from the board and he moved out. And the reason that, or what Mr. Knorrenstild will tell people, is that he withdrew it because he moved out. Well, that's a bunch of baloney because he just opened himself up to a lawsuit, and the association, because what he did was what he was doing was charging my mother all along, up until he withdrew. He was charging her for these harassment restraining orders, lawyers' fees and whatnot. And the problem is because you can't sue somebody and have the ability to charge some account that you have access to. Um, you can't sue them and make them pay for your lawyer's fees and everything that goes into suing you, and then at the very end they just drop their case and run away. Is exactly what he did. Is he ran away. Um, so that's what Mr. Skildum did. All right, so let's get into this affidavit. And with these affidavits, what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically focus on their worded parts. I mean, there are other perjurious items in these affidavits, but um, right now, just for time's sake, I'm going to just focus on their worded portions of their affidavits. All right, so let's get started with Mr. Skildum's affidavit. Now, before we get on to his first worded paragraph, I just wanted to show you what the front cover of these look like. And there's, like I said, there's other perjurious items on these affidavits, which I'm not going to really cover, but, like right here, these boxed areas where they can check things off, and he says I stalked and pursued him and whatnot, but that's all perjury too. And also notice that the judge actually, he crossed out the association, dismissed the association from the whole uh, lawsuit. So, but anyways, let's get on to his first paragraph. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what I did last time was I'll read the first paragraph, and then I'll go back and I'll show you where all the perjury is. So let's get started. All right, so he starts his out basically the same way that Ms. Hengel started hers out. So let's read here. It states, I serve on the board of directors for Elm Creek Courthouse Association, the association. Respondent lives in a townhome within the association, but he's not a member of the association. Respondent has repeatedly ignored my request that he not have contact with me and that he leave me alone. He comes to my home and will not leave when asked. He has taped a letter to my door, left packages at my home, and videotaped me while I was in my driveway. All right, first is the townhome reference. He knows darn well that these are not townhomes, they're condominiums. But like I said before in Hengel's video, that the reason that they mislabeled the property law here is they wanted the courts to infer that I was trespassing. Now, if these were townhomes, I would be trespassing on their property. Even if I just knocked on their door, I'd be trespassing. So that's exactly why they mislabeled the property law around here. So here is the front cover of our rulebook, and down there it states Elm Creek courthomes are condominiums rather than townhomes. Therefore, many of the rules and regulations are designed based on the needs of a condominium setting. And also, Mr. Skildum was on the board. I'm not sure if he was president or not in 2003, but he was on the board, and he had to have voted, or I don't know whose idea it was to put that on there, but he was involved in it at least. If it was up to a vote, then he knew that was on there, and of course they all knew that was on the front cover, but he was at least involved even putting it on the front cover. All right, let's continue on. All right, now he states that respondent has repeatedly ignored my request that he not have contact with me and that he leave me alone. All right, this is another perjurious statement. I only had one conversation with Mr. Skildum at his home, and it lasted for about 2 minutes or something like that. But it was nice, calm, and gentle. And I've already posted it on online here, but I'm going to post it here, or I'm going to post it later on in this video. And I only went to his home 3 times, and the other time I went to his home to take some pictures of some violations that were in his garage, and I'll show you those too, and I'll describe why they're violations. And because they were saying that I was violating in my garage, and we'll get into that too. And then the other time I went over to his house was to ask why the charges for the harassment restraining orders were on my mother's account, and this was before I ever received any harassment restraining orders, and I think it was about 2 weeks before uh, I received any kind of indication that there was any harassment restraining orders. And when I went to their home to question them about why those charges were on the account, I was under the impression that the judge denied them, but they decided to charge us anyway. We'll get into this a little bit more later. All right, let's go on to the next piece of perjury. Okay, so now he states that he has taped a letter to my door, left packages at my home. Again, this is completely perjurious. I did tape a letter to his door. I believe it was a windy day that day, so I didn't want the letter to blow away. But he wants you to believe that somehow taping a letter to somebody's door is somehow harassing, which is complete bogus. But also, then he states, left packages at my home. Well, I can tell you I've never left one package at his home. Now, he states it plurally, but I never left one package at his home. And also, this is subordination by Mr. Knornstiel, because um, if you were an attorney and a client told you, yeah, he left packages at my home, well, of course, you would say, well, bring me those packages. Well, Mr. Skildum could not because there was no packages. So let's go on to the next statement here. All right, so next he states that I was videotaping him while he was in his driveway. Well, this is completely perjury. I was not videotaping him. I was taking photos of the interior of his garage, and on that day, I went to his home, and he was washing his vehicle outside the drive or on the driveway, and he had his garage open. So I took photos of some violations. According to them, they were violations, but I took pictures of some violations inside his garage, and I took 4 total pictures. And as I left, I stated, you have violations inside your garage. Now, the reason I was concerned with the inside of his garage is because they were concerned with the inside of my garage. And they first sent me a fine for having a room in my garage. Well, they took that fine away. And then they were fining me for installing a wall inside my garage. And we'll get into those photos. I'll show you the photos that I took of Mr. Skildum's garage and how they are violations. And then I'll show you the photo of the wall that I installed in my garage. So, all right, let's get on to the next affidavit paragraph. Next, he states, in January 2010, respondent appeared at a meeting of the board of directors for the association. He was videotaping the board and interrupting us with aggressive questioning. We told him to stop recording us and to leave because he was being disruptive and he was not a member of the association. Alright, so now he states that I appeared at some meeting in January of 2010. Well, I can tell you that this is a complete lie, and it's perjurious. I never ever appeared at any kind of meeting in January of 2010. In fact, the only time that you could say I appeared was at a hearing in 2009, September of 2009. And this was a hearing for my mother getting a fine for having a room in her garage. Um, so you're going to see, well, they took that fine away, but some other stuff happened after that. But back to the January 2010, that never ever happened. And also that my mother did record this meeting on audio, and you're going to hear nothing about them asking me to leave. As far as, I mean, at the end I pull out a video camera and I ask Lance a question, but I'll show that too. But um, what they wanted to do was portray me as somebody on the outside, even though I've lived here since my mother bought the home in like 1996 or 1997. But they wanted to portray me as somebody that's on the outside. And that's why they say I'm not a member of the association. I have no right to ask any questions or nothing like that. And they even try to describe me as a guest. But when they say that he was videotaping the board and interrupting us with aggressive questions, that's complete perjury. You're going to hear nothing of me interrupting them or if they call aggressive questions like good questions, I guess I was interrupting them with aggressive questions. But what they wanted to portray as if I was interrupting them with like yelling and all that kind of stuff. And I don't yell or nothing like that. So you're going to see that in the audio tape, and I'll show that at the end of this video. But this whole paragraph is completely perjury. All right, let's go on to his next paragraph. All right, so now he states that on or about October 23rd, 2010, respondent appeared at my home with a video camera. He knocked on the door and filmed me when I answered. He again started to ask me questions in a very aggressive manner. I asked him to stop filming me and to leave me alone. He would not stop filming and he wouldn't leave. He threatened to come back to my home if I wouldn't answer his questions. I had to shut the door in order to get him to leave. All right, so this whole paragraph is completely perjurious. I did appear at his home with a video camera. I did knock on his door and I did film him when he answered, but what I did not do was ask him questions in a very aggressive manner. I'm going to show you the video here pretty quickly, and you're going to see that actually I was very gentle. And also what he did not do was he did not ask me to stop filming him. Eventually he closed the door and I left. So this whole paragraph is complete perjury, and the reason that I'm visiting him is because my mother had sent him a letter asking what the alternative address was that Lance Stendhal said that he was sending my mother's mail to. Now, the reason that we were asking that is because I think it was like 2005 or 2004 or something like that, they outlawed renting out units here. So, but what they did do was they sent my mother a letter demanding that she show proof of a lease agreement because I was renting out my mother's, or my mother's always been here, but I was here and I was renting from her for some frickin' reason that Lance had, but his intention was to start finding my mother for renting out her house. At the 2009 September meeting, I asked Lance what the alternative address was, and he would not answer. And that's what I've been asking for a long time, and I still have no answer as to what the alternative address was. But anyways, that's why I'm at Mr. Skildum's house, and here is the video.
At RejuveSkinAndLaser.com. That's RejuveSkinAndLaser.com. Experience you can trust. Prices you can afford.
You want to be a high roller, a laser.
Mr. Skildum,
Yes.
you haven't answered our letter.
I sent you a letter.
You did?
Yeah.
With the address?
Yeah.
You got the address on there?
Yeah.
When did you send it?
Tuesday.
We haven't gotten it yet.
Okay.
Can you just give me that address right now?
11447, I believe.
That's not an alternative address. You got this letter, right?
I sent you a letter.
And you have the alternative address on there that Lance would not give us?
I'm not saying I have that on there. I sent your mom a letter.
I need the address. I need the address that Lance says that he was sending our mail to, which caused him to put our address as a rental.
Okay.
You have that.
I don't have that.
Why?
Can I?
Why don't you have that?
Can you leave?
No, I can't. I need that address. Well, I'll be back. Okay, so that was a video, and let's take a look back at it, what he said about it. And he says that I asked questions in a very aggressive manner. I mean, that's completely perjury. And then he says that I asked him to stop filming me. He never asked me that once. He did ask me to leave one time. And then he says I threatened to come back. That's baloney. I mean, I did say I was going to come back, but it was not in a threat. And then he says I had to shut the door in order to get him to leave. Well, I mean, it's like he's trying to say that he had the door open, but he had to shut it or else I wouldn't leave. Well, I mean, isn't that what you do when you leave the doors? You shut it. So that's complete perjury also. All right, let's go on to his next perjurious affidavit paragraph. All right, here we go. All right, so now he states, on May 6, 2011, the association's attorney had a letter delivered to respondent which specifically stated that I do not want contact with him of any kind and that I don't want him to record me. Despite this request, on June 24, 2011, I discovered that respondent had taped a package to my door. The package contained a letter from respondent to me and a video. It made me feel afraid for my safety, security, and privacy that respondent was taping packages to my door. I was also concerned that respondent was ignoring my request that he not contact me. Alright, so now he states that he discovered that the respondent had taped a package to my door. Well, that's complete perjury. I never taped a package. I never left a package. I never sent a package to him or anybody else in this anywhere. So, also, this is subordination of perjury by Mr. Knorrenchild, because of course, if you're an attorney, you'd say, "Hey, let me see the package." Well, he couldn't provide one because I never sent one, left one, or taped one on his door. All right, let's continue. All right, now next he states that the package contained a letter from respondent to me and a video. And again, this is completely false. First of all, there was no package, and the letter that I left him was not addressed to him. It was a copy of a letter that I sent to David Stendhal, the president of Omega Management. And I did leave a video, and the video is of me questioning Lance about what the alternative address is, and I've already posted that on this channel, so I'm not going to make you watch it again. And if you haven't seen it yet, go back to the channel videos and you'll see it. It'll say Lance Stendhal Act for HRO. But again, this is completely perjury. And all right, let's go on to the next statement. All right, so now he states that I'm taping packages to his door. I've taped 2 letters to their door, and they were letters. They were not packages, so what he states packages 3 times in this paragraph, and what they wanted the court to believe is that I was taping some kind of package, like a box of something, to their door. So, but no, they were letters, and I think I only taped 2 letters to his door. Um, so let's go on to the next paragraph. Okay, now he states, as I was washing my car in my driveway, respondent came up to me with a video camera. He again filmed me and asked me repeated questions. My garage door was open and he filmed the inside of my garage. He made comments about what he was viewing inside my garage. It made me feel unsafe. It also made me feel insecure that he was examining the inside of my garage so closely. All right, now this goes right back to exactly why they mislabeled the property law around here, is because when he says my driveway, well, that's perjury, because he has no driveway. The driveway are common elements. They're everybody's driveway. Even though they should be limited common elements, because like the sidewalks and the patio, because you don't want people coming over to your unit and barbecuing on your patio. But however, you can't keep them off it as far as they can't use it. So, I mean, they could, it'd be kind of like a condominium where there's underground garages, and you have your space assigned to your unit. Let's say your neighbor's unit or your neighbor's parking stall is right next to yours. There's nothing he can keep you from parking on it, but he can't keep you from being on it. So, like, say if you were to get out of your car and walk across his parking space, and say his car wasn't there, there's nothing he could do about it. He couldn't say, "Hey, that's my personal property." So the driveway should be limited to common elements, but they're not. But anyways, it's still not his driveway. So that's a completely perjurious statement. Now, the reason that I was over at his unit was his garage door was open, and he had painted the walls, he had hung cabinets, he'd done all kinds of changes to the inside of his garage. And so those are violations. Now, here's what they were fining me for in my garage. Now, you see that thing standing there? It's got the circles in it. That's my privacy screen. I use that when I lift weights. But what I was being fined for was I installed a wall in the garage, and that's their installed wall. It's not hooked up into the garage anyway. It folds out and it stands on its own. So that's what I was being fined for. And I was being fined because now the insides of the garage are limited to common elements because these are condominiums. And it's against the rules to make any kind of changes to the inside of the garage. Technically, yeah. But many people have. Many people have painted. And in fact, there's a guy that even has a room in his garage. He's got a family room in his garage. But this is what I was being fined for, and what they were wanting me to do was to return my garage to its original condition. And the original condition of these garages were, the walls were sheetrocked. They had one tape coat on there, and everything. So they were asking me, or they were instructing me to return my garage to its original condition. So when I went over to Mr. Skildum's unit, I was taking photos, and you can tell when I'm taking photos. Now my video camera, it does video and photos, but one or the other. So when I'm taking photos, it has a synthesized sound of like a old time camera. So he could tell that I was taking photos, and I took 4 photos, and here they are. Now in this first photo, you can see he's got his walls are all painted, they're all finished off, and he's got cabinets hung on the wall back there, plus a shelf on top. That's all violations. Now they're saying that I was violating the rules by changing the inside of my garage. And they wanted me to return my garage to its original condition. So, but here we go. We got changes made to the inside of the garage, which is a violation. So why should I have to change the inside of my garage to its original condition, yet they can change the insides of their garage? So yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. So, but here's some more photos. All right, so when he states that I filmed him and asked him repeated questions, that's completely a lie. Um, I wasn't filming him. I was taking photos, and he knew I was taking photos because, like I said, my camera has a very loud snapshot sound to it. And also, when he states that I asked him repeated questions, I did not ask him not one question. So that is complete perjury. The only thing I said to him is, as I was leaving, I said, "You have violations in your garage," and that's all I said to him, and I walked off. And it took a matter of less than a minute to be there. So, all right, let's see what else we got here. Um, yeah, he just continues on to say he feels concerned and unsecure that I was examining his garage so closely and all that crap. It's all perjury. All right, so let's go on to his last paragraph, and this is going to be the "I'm afraid of" paragraph. It's the "I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of that" kind of crap. So let's go on to that now. All right, well, I'm just going to let this just hang up here for a while, and you can read it. There's really not much else that needs to be said. You've seen my interactions with Mr. Skildum, so this whole paragraph is all perjury. But these are the "I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of that" crap. So, um, but you can read through it. You know, I mean, there's perjurious statement after perjurious statement in this. Um, like when he says that I'm threatening to come back to his home if I don't answer his questions. I never ever threatened to come back to his home if he didn't answer my questions. And anyways, it was one question, and you've already seen that video. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is post a video separately in regards to the hearing that the association hearing that I attended, and the only one I've ever attended, the only meeting I've ever been to. But we were there for a hearing, and this is a hearing that they tried to hide from us. And I think you go look back in my videos and you'll see how they tried to hide it from us. But um, so I'm going to post that video separately, and that'll be coming up very shortly. But anyways, thanks a lot for watching, and I will talk to you later. Bye.